Senator from Roane.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wanted to talk to the body a little bit about some concerns I heard during the flood. I didn't think it was appropriate to talk about during the debate or the issue, but I think it's something you all need to know and you all need to look into. I think many of you who had people who flooded will tell you that they used to have flood insurance, but their rates went up a few years ago. And they no longer can afford their flood insurance. And property's not being sold because flood insurance in West Virginia has gotten so expensive. Being an insurance agent who sells flood insurance, I've watched the rates go. I've watched bank loans not close because people don't want to pay the price many times what their homeowner's insurance is to buy the flood insurance. So I called one of the companies who is a writer through the National Flood Insurance Program, and I said, what goes on in West Virginia? Oh, by the way, I remember being at a speech where Congressman McKinley talked about his concerns because residents in West Virginia who tries to buy flood insurance was paying more than the people along the East Coast. Now that really bothered me. And sure enough, we do. According to what I was told by the people who have to deal with the rates that the National Flood Insurance gives them to put out, back a few years ago, just 3 or 4 or 5 years ago, maybe 6 or 7, we updated the flood rates. Apparently we got a grant to do that, and we updated our flood rates. What used to be involved when you sold a policy a few years ago, you were in the 100-year flood, you were in the 500-year flood zone, or you were in the 1,000-year flood zone. And the rates the actuaries had the rates figured differently. If you're in a 500-year flood zone, you were much less than if you're in a 100-year flood zone. What I was told when West Virginia updated the maps, raised the flood rate limits in the area, they did away with the 500-year flood zone, which you're now either in a 100-year flood zone that goes past the 1,000-year flood zone. It's one rate, and it is costing residents and businesses of West Virginia a lot of money. I was told about a business in the Clendenin area that had a business that he used to pay about $800 a month, and when the new policy came out and the new raises came out, it went over $500 a year, and it went over $6,000 a month. So he dropped his policy, and this business was washed out. I won't be here, but it's really incumbent upon the people to check on this and see if that is something that is factual, as I was told by a writer from the National Flood Insurance Program, that West Virginia has done that, and we do, as a matter of fact, have some of the largest premiums on flood insurance in West Virginia. And while I'm on that note, I'll say one other thing. One of the things that has concerned me as I drive along West Virginia, and I do it a lot, I'm watching our creeks fill in. I'm watching our rivers fill in. I'm watching trees fall and they block. And after a flood, it's usually when some grant's given to go clean it out. You know, the federal government took controls of our streams originally in the late 70s, and then the state followed thereafter. We've got to let the landowners have a way to clean these streams, to get the water flowing, to get it out, instead of backing up and raising waters to a higher limit. So those are 2 things I thought should be brought from someone who has worked along for many years in floods, worked along landowners with their problems, and also worked with homeowners trying to buy insurance in a flood-impacted zone, because we need to check those things out, and it would help the citizens of West Virginia along with what we're doing with the bill just passed. Mr. President, I appreciate that and give you all some tasks to work on in the future. Thank you.